Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to make some beautiful garlic and caraway flatbreads, which are really lovely to serve alongside curries, but also alongside soups in winter. They're a yeasted flatbread, which means we need to make a dough, allow it a bit of time in a warm place to rise, and then we're going to cook them on the stovetop. So first of all, we're going to start with some wholemeal plain flour. Stir through a little bit of sea salt flakes, and some yeast. I'm going to use this little gadget. You do not need one of these, but I like to use it because it lets me start the dough without getting my hands too messy. We'll just stir a little bit and then bring through some finely chopped garlic. If you like garlic bread, you're going to love these. Stir that through as well with your dough mixer. And then bring in some warm water. We really want to get the right temperature with the water, so we're not wanting it too hot, because too hot will kill the yeast, and if it's too cold, the yeast won't activate. So we're looking for lukewarm, or you can think of it as a comfortable bath temperature. So pour that into a well in the centre, and then just incorporate until you have a nice dough. Flour tends to be a little bit variable, so depending on the weather. So you might find that you need a little bit more flour or a little bit more water, depending on how it goes. And you're really not going to know until you get your hands into it and you feel how the dough all comes together. Okay, so now it's time to bring my hands in. So when I'm working with dough, I find that it's a lot easier to handle if you focus on using your hands nice and flat rather than putting your fingers into the dough. Can you hear my cat Frankie? We're at home today, not in the school kitchen, so I've got company. So the bowl that I'm using is quite wide and flat, which allows me to knead within it. If you haven't got a bowl like this, that's fine. Incorporate your dough and then tip it out onto the bench and knead it on the bench. You'll probably find that a lot easier than trying to knead it in the bowl like I am. Okay, this is looking pretty good. It doesn't need more flour and it's nice and moist without being sticky. So I'm just going to pop it back into the bowl now and cover it. I've got a damp tea towel, clean of course. Just cover it over and pop it into a warm place. We want the dough to rise to about double the size that it is now, and then we can cook up our flatbreads. Okay, our dough's been rising for a little while, so let's have a look and see how it is. Okay, so I'd say that's about doubled in size. It'll still pop up a little bit more when we cook it. So let's roll it out. Okay, so just give it another little knead to check the consistency of it, and that feels great. This amount of dough makes 6 flatbreads, so let's just chop it into 6. And we'll roll them out. So you find that if you use too much flour, you're going to make the job of rolling out a lot harder than it needs to be. So I like to keep a little pile of flour just off to the side of where I'm working and just really lightly flour the surface that I'm going to be working on. So knead each piece into a little bowl. just roll out. Any shape is fine, but I like for this flatbread a nice oval, a long oval kind of shape. Kind of like a naan bread. A lovely oval shape. And then just stretch it out a little bit to really finish that shape. So it's probably about maybe 1 to 2 mil thick. Okay, we'll just set them all aside and roll out the rest. These are not going to be perfectly the same size. I often like to say that I'm a bit of a rustic cook, which means I worry about flavour and texture more than the appearance. Although of course appearance is important as well, because we do eat with our eyes first. If you do want a really consistent result and you want to get them all exactly the same, which I do sometimes, you can weigh out your dough, and that way you know that the pieces are exactly the same size. Okay, they're looking good. Let's just move my stove cover out of the way and we'll cook them up. Okay, so I've got a non-stick pan here that I'm going to use to cook the flatbreads. It really won't work so well on a dry pan if it's not non-stick, so if you haven't got one, it's really good to invest in a good quality one. So just heat it to about a medium heat. Okay, I can feel a fair bit of heat coming off there now, so I'm just going to gently place the flatbread into the pan. I reckon I can fit 2 in at a time. And we want to keep them nice and still until you see them starting to puff up a little bit, and then we'll have a little peek underneath to see if we're getting a little bit of golden brown colouring under there. So you're looking for this golden brown colour on the bottom, and then flip them over and let them continue to cook. They'll puff up a little bit more on the other side, and then you can put them out onto the plate. If you start to notice that the underside is getting little blackened spots, it means that it's cooking a little bit too fast, so you want to just turn the heat of your pan down. Once you've popped them out onto the plate, finish them with a little sprinkle of sea salt flakes and some caraway seeds, and you're good to go. And there you have beautiful garlic and caraway flatbreads.